Welcome to Biohacking with Brittany, a podcast focused on holistic health, nutrition, biohacking, and more. I'm your host, Brittany Ford, registered holistic nutritionist and self-proclaimed biohacker. During the last 10 years, I've focused on healing my gut and hormonal issues through lifestyle changes, nutrition, and of course, biohacks. And now I teach others to do the same. I'm so excited you're joining me today, so let's dive right in. Welcome to another episode of Biohacking with Brittany. I am super excited about today. Oh my gosh, my voice. We are talking about chiropractic care, which is really cool because this is something I actually haven't explored on the show yet. And we have Dr. Aaron Tressler joining us. I was actually just recently on his podcast, Making Pittsburgh Healthy, which was a lot of fun. And prior to this conversation, we were just talking about his farm that he has with lambs. He just had a few new lambs in the last couple of days. So maybe we'll dive into that as well. But Dr. Aaron, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate you having me on. I love to share my story, and I love to talk. That's why I have my podcast. But I hope to share, and let's have fun today. It was a blast having you on our show. You're really fun to talk to, and I look forward to this. This is going to be a blast.
Thank you. So I have read about your health story, and it's pretty inspiring, to be honest. So I would love for you to kind of explain your journey and how you got to where you are today.
Okay, I'll try to summarize as best I can, and then if you want to dive deeper at a section, we can go there because I love telling my story. So when I grew up, typical kid. I mean, we hardly ever went to the doctor. I wet my bed until I was 9 years old, which at the time I didn't know anything was wrong. I had in fourth grade. I started having stomach problems, and that progressed all the way to high school, where I had IBS. I had allergies. I had sinus issues. I was always taking Pepto-Bismol, Maalox for my stomach, which nothing ever worked. Allergy shots every Friday. And again, nothing worked. Thank God I had stopped wetting my bed at that point. But I was always sick, and we didn't go to the doctors besides allergy shots. Well, this was my life. And one day, and I was an athlete in high school, so I was really fit. I looked healthy, but inside I was always sick. One day I bent over to get wood. I was 17 years old, and my back just seized up on me, my low back. Excuse me. I fell to the ground. I couldn't stand up. My back was so painful. And I heard from a friend that he went to a chiropractor to adjust his back. That's all I knew. So I told my dad, I think we need to see this chiropractor. Well, Brittany, we never went to the doctor. And this is like a God gift because my dad said, okay. And I'm like, why did we go to the chiropractor? We never went to any doctors, but we went. And what was really cool is the chiropractor adjusted me, and it was amazing. The pain went away instantly, but the difference was he didn't teach me what he did. He didn't tell me what he did. I didn't know that there was nerves in my back that went to my body. I didn't know how that worked, what he did with his adjustment. I just heard all the noise and felt good. So I never went back. Well, 2.5 years later, my dad, at age 50, dies of a heart attack. He had heart disease. His heart was failing. He was getting weaker every year. And when he died, I was at school. I was studying health and physical education. And I thought, I am not dying at age 50. I'm going to figure this out. I am going to be healthy. So, I looked at it as well. I just have to be as fit as I can. So I was studying health and phys ed, and I thought that was my path. So I went, and I was living in Florida. I was teaching, playing competitive rugby. I was a guy in the fitness instructor in the gym, and working out every day. And my back does it again to me. And this time I start to have these episodes at practice. Not every time. It was intermittent. But I still had my bowel problems, my IBS. I still had allergies and sinus. I was still sick in that way. And I didn't make any connection. Well, I go to the medical doctor. They want to give me drugs. I go to the therapist. They want to do stretching. And I had done all that to a really high level. I went to a sports specialist, and they were doing some stretching, and it just didn't make sense. I was getting so frustrated. I'm like, I can stretch at the gym at rugby practice. Then I went to another type of chiropractor, and this was somebody who took X-rays, analyzed the X-rays, and explained how the nerves in my back exit the spine and go into the muscle. So if your back is out of place and it pinches that nerve, the muscle goes in
Mm.
spasm. Well, that makes sense. But then this was the light bulb. He showed me that that same branch of nerve branches off and goes to my internal organs. So if you're pinching a
Mm.
nerve, the organs cannot function normally. And the organs were my bowels and my bladder. And I thought, you got to be kidding me. This is what I've been suffering with. It was too simple. I was blown away. And I'm a simple guy in the sense that if it makes sense, I'm doing it. I'll figure it out as I go. And I dove into this. I bought it 100%. I started care. I was so excited to kind of transition out of teaching that I went to
Mm.
chiropractic school, and I went to Atlanta, Georgia, where they had the best rugby team, so I could continue playing rugby. And what I discovered there is all these nerves in our back, not only do they go into the muscles, but they exit and they go to the organs, the heart, the lungs, the immune system, my stomach, my bladder, my bowels. And if anything is compressed, anything out of alignment, the nerves can't function properly and the organs won't function properly. So I stayed under care in school. I healed up within months. I had no more sickness. It was my bowels healed up, my allergies, my sinus pressure went away. And it's been 30 years and I still haven't had the problem. So at that time, my wife, we were newly married. She had asthma and she had suffered 23 years of asthma. I said to her, hon, you have to come into the clinic and get checked. This asthma thing may be an alignment. You may be out of alignment causing asthma. Well, she thought I was crazy. She's
Mm.
like, how does chiropractic care, getting your neck, quote, cracked? I usually don't say that, but, you get your neck and back cracked and your asthma goes away. It just didn't make sense. I was trying to explain to her, and I get fired up. I'm like, this is it. I'm bringing you into the clinic. I don't care, because if this can reduce or eliminate your asthma so you don't have to take drugs every day. She was taking drugs every day, inhalers, steroids, theophylline, in and out of the hospital 1 to 3 times every single year since she was 3. I'm like,
Wow.
why don't you want to try this? She just didn't know. Came into the clinic, they analyzed, they found her neck out of alignment and started to adjust her. And she didn't have high expectations. She wasn't sure. But in about 90 days, similar to what happened with me, she wasn't using her inhaler. And her body, it took about a year for her lungs to regenerate and heal. We can talk about that, how organs regenerate. But she healed up. And again, it's been 30 years for her, no asthma. So I'll pause there before I go into like my phase two, with all my other injuries and so forth. But when I got to that point, it was a revelation that the body can heal itself, and it is fantastic. We have to be in alignment, and chiropractic care is not for just pain. That's only 10% of the nerves. 90% control healing and function. So I'll pause there.
Yeah, it's so inspiring, and also just listening to how like your wife reacted as well. I think it's very interesting. It's also interesting because most people, I think, view chiropractic as something you go to when you have back pain, right? Like it's very much
Right.
associated with pain. So it's very interesting to hear you talk about all of the other things that it can actually help heal. Because even like myself, like I would never think, oh, I'm having like lung issues, breathing issues, asthma, whatever. Oh, I need to go to the chiropractor. Like I would never ever associate those two. And so
Right.
that's so yeah, that makes me view it very differently. But I'd love for you to continue your story because I know in the past, 10 years or so, you've also had some other health concerns come up.
I did. And so in school, I continued playing rugby. And I'll kind of fast forward from then till now. I've broken my ribs 3 times, and this isn't all with rugby, but I have a farm. I've done it on the farm and some other things. But I've had 2 rotator cuff tears. I had 2 meniscus tears in my knee. Um, I've had several concussions, broken fingers, lots of sprains, strains, and bruises through rugby. And I've always been an athlete, so I've always kept training, lifting weights, playing some type of sport. So I continued to play rugby. Um, not every year, but off and on most of those years up until
Oh, hello.
now, current. I'm still playing rugby at 55. And around here, they don't have an old guys team, Brittany. I have to play with 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds. So they look at me like, here comes Grandpa. And I'm like, oh, well, Grandpa still has game. So will you tell me, say anything you want? It fires me up when they look at me like that. So 5 years ago, I decided, you know what? I'm going to start riding a bike. I live out in the country. I thought if I ride a bike, it will slow up on the pounding that I do with my running. So I've ran some marathons, some ultra marathons, and that was not my game. I like playing rugby better, believe it or not. So I thought, why do all this pounding? I'm going to buy a bike because I lift weights and I run. I'm going to mix it up.
Mm.
So I bought a bike, and I'm out one day. I go out to ride my bike at 6:30, 7 in the morning. I'm coming down a hill. I'm 49 years old, about 30, 35 miles an hour. When the front release, my front tire, the release came off, and my tire shot off to the side. Well, it seemed like it was like a 10-second pause as I look and I turn my head to see my tire going to the left, wondering why is my tire shooting off my bike.
Oh my
And
gosh.
next thing, I mean, it was like a millisecond. I plant my right shoulder and the right side of my head onto the pavement. When I woke up, I was on my hands and knees. I was trying to crawl to get my phone, and thank God it was still on the road because it could have bounced and rolled into the bushes. And I was about a mile from anyone's home, so I didn't know if I could crawl to somebody's house or what I needed to do. So I called my wife and I said, "Hon, I had a small accident." I didn't want to scare her because I didn't want her to freak out and like go the wrong way. So I said, just come up. I need you to pick me up. So when she got there, I'm laying there on the side of the hill. Bike is in two pieces. I'm bawling my eyes out. I said, "You need to take me to the hospital right away." And we've always been under care. My daughter was there, and she goes, "No, we'll take you to the chiropractor." Because so I said, "Not this time." I said, "I got to go to the hospital. Something bad happened." Well, I fractured my scapula and the
Mm.
shoulder blade, and it was a pretty severe fracture. And the next day, when I met the surgeon, the prognosis was very bad. It was don't don't do any physical activity. Don't you're not going to be able to use it for a while, and you probably won't be able to do a push up within a year. Is kind of
Wow.
the take I had. And so I left there. I went home, and the first thing I did when I left the hospital, I got an adjustment from a friend because I know I needed nerve flow to heal. And I went home, and as I was reading my Bible, this was an insight from God. I got, just a kind of word from the Bible that says, "Look, you're going to be as strong as an army guy. You're going to be stronger." And I told my wife, "Hon, I'm playing rugby again." So I went on a quest of exercise, which was movement at that point, eating healthy, taking supplements, and chiropractic care. It first starts with a belief system. So had I not gone through rotator cuff tears, broken ribs, meniscus tears on my knees, and concussions. And I healed up miraculously fast. And in fact, one time when I broke my ribs, I played rugby 2 weeks later after breaking my ribs because I knew I had to play. My mindset was, I will play and I will do
Mm.
everything I can through chiropractic care, eating, exercise, movement to allow my body to play in 2 weeks. And when I look back at them, I'm like, wow, that's incredible. This is most of the time. When I broke them the first time, it took me an entire month before I could lift weights. 2 weeks, I'm in my late 40s, and I play after breaking my ribs. So I had that belief system, and that is first and foremost. If you don't have a belief system that you really
Mm.
believe you can heal, and your body is designed to heal, will buy into the medical role model is, hey, take it easy, don't push yourself, it's going to take a long time, you're probably going to have permanent injury or scar tissue, and it's never going to be normal, you just had a bad accident. Well, I closed that chapter in that book. I am not believing that I am going to heal. So I worked my butt off immediately. I got it out of the sling, I started moving it, and every day I was in tears. Every day I would cry in horrible pain. I had to take ibuprofen. I didn't take any Percocets or
Mm.
opioids, which they recommended, and I would have been a druggie at that point. They recommended so many. Um, and I decided, no, I'm going to do it my way. I don't know any chiropractor that has been under chiropractic care for 30 years, that has um, played rugby, that has lifted weights for 40 years, that ran and trained for marathons and ultra marathons. They can't compare me to somebody else. So I said, I'm going to create my own story.
Mm.
And Brittany, I totally believed it. When I told my wife I'm playing rugby, first first I was like, "Why? Why? You just broke your scapula 2 days ago, and now you want to play rugby?" I said, "I'm going to prove to you, and I'm going to prove to
Mm.
my 5 kids, and I'm going to prove to all my patients how powerful the body is to heal." So within 2.5 months, I ran a 5K race with my son, and I did it in just over 21 minutes. So it
Wow.
wasn't, I wasn't out there just walking.
Yeah.
We scooted pretty fast. In 5 months, I bench pressed 225 pounds at my home gym. And in 8 months, I played my first rugby game. And I've been playing ever since. I'm 50. It's been 5 years. I'm 55. I feel like I'm 30 years old. I have, I actually have more strength now than I did before, even in my 30s, because I continue to train. But it comes with a belief system, which is followed by action steps. And I hope
Mm.
everyone's listening to this, because if your belief system is, you know what, I have bad genetics,
Mm.
you just made an excuse for yourself. You know what? I'm out of shape. I'm old. If they look at me when I go out to play, I play with against college kids, and they'll come up and they'll like laugh and call me Gramps. And at the end of the game, they're coming over going, "Dude, how do you do this? Who are you? Like, you scored on us twice. You stiff armed me, knocked me over, and you planted me." And I'm like, you got to stay in shape. I don't have time to really teach them, but the body is incredible if we utilize it. So if you don't have a good belief system, you've got to find somebody that can build your belief system. Or like listening to these podcasts, you absolutely are buying into part of this. You have to be, because you're listening to this podcast, you have to be saying to yourself, there's more. I can do more. And you just have to keep going down that path. And then you have to follow it up with action steps. And every step just keeps building on the next.
I'm going to let you just sit on that for a moment while I talk to you about Emphies. So, if you've been following me online, you know that this is my female EMF protecting underwear that's coming out very soon. And we're opening for pre-orders, and it's been very interesting to start to hear feedback and kind of get some inspiration as well from people who follow us online and people who email me in as well from the podcast. So the waitlist is still open. If you want to join that, those people will be the first to know when they drop, and also will get a extra discount. And they're coming out soon. The pre-orders will be at a lower rate than they will be when we're just like fully functioning. And that's just to really hear feedback and test the market and see what you like and where we can improve. So I highly suggest you get on the wait list so you're the first to know, and look out for Emphies. And if you're not following us on social media, please do so. You can follow us on Instagram at Emphies and Co. That is our user handle. Amazing. And enjoy the rest of this episode. Yeah. I I mean, I went through similar things on my own health journey of taking ownership of my health and really stepping into that and aiming to heal. But a lot of people simply like don't have the motivation. Um and it sounds like you're just oozing with motivation. So like how do you keep motivated? Like when you were crying every day, when you were, in so much pain, um like is it affirmations? Is it visualization? Like what does it actually look like on the mental health part of it? Or the mentality part of it that kept you going and kept you motivated every single day?
That's a great question. That's like the $1 million question, right? And
Yeah.
because I ask my guests this too, and it's it's all of what you just said plus 30, 40 years of experience. And there's no one answer,
Mhm.
and as I answer this, I want the listeners to realize the answer is within you. You have to find this within you. to create your own journey, your own life. You're not going to find it in my answer. You're going to find maybe some hints and some tips, but it's within you right now. You have to search for it. So my one, I think I have within me a God-given ability to be active and be athletic. I've always done that
Mm.
as a kid. My mom said I would escape out of the playpen at 2 and I would be down at the neighbor's house. She goes, I could never keep you in the house. Um, so I think part of that was I was built into that. However, we can train and we can become that. Or somebody that had it built in as a kid, they train themselves to create bad habits and they go out of that. So anything you have, you can develop more, and if you don't have it, you can train yourself into it. Um, I read my Bible every day, and I believe God has created an absolutely incredible body that can live 80 to 120 years without damage, disease, or the dependency of drugs. So knowing that higher power, if I have to depend on Brittany for all my strength, you are limited, just like I am limited. If my patients
Mm.
say, Dr.
Mhm.
Tressler, just help me, I'm like, I can guide you, but I'm human. I don't know the answers. I will try to inspire you and motivate you. And I live by example because I want my patients and my family, my community to hopefully be inspired and to do more for themselves. So I've grown up with that. I've always been athletic. I've always loved it. Then I think there was a tipping point when I became a chiropractor that I felt obligated to, and this is something we could all feel obligated to any degree. I felt obligated to my patients, my community, chiropractic, my family, to be an example. If I went through just 8 years of schooling and I became a doctor of chiropractic, people are going to look at me and want some answers. I felt responsible. The best responsibility is take care of my own body and do everything I can to be a representation of that. So at this point, I tell all my patients, everyone knows I play rugby. And it's not because I'm some hero in rugby. Um, I'm just trying to stay alive in rugby at this point in my career. But I say I play rugby because it gives me a platform that I can say to you, Brittany, if I can play rugby at 55, you're a lot younger than me. You can stay in shape. You can go for a walk. You have time to do it. I
Mhm.
have a farm. I have 5 kids,
Mhm.
3 grandkids. I run a practice. I coach. I do a podcast, and I have over almost close to 100 animals now. So it's not just I have 3 animals on my farm. I'm a very busy man. However, I look at my health as a responsibility. So I have trapped myself in a corner because
Hmm.
I've run my mouth so much over the last 10, 20 years on how I play rugby and I'm in shape and I lift and I work out and I am not going to get sick and I am going to be healthy. I've said that thousands and thousands of times to my patients. I can't not, I have to do this. You know what I mean? I've trapped myself,
Mhm.
but it's a good trap. So we can feel
Mhm.
responsible. We can say, look, if you have a family, if you're a mother or father and you have kids, you can say, you know what, I have a responsibility to my kids. I want to be alive for them. My dad died at age 50. I lost my dad. I don't want that to happen for my kids. Then you can say, you know
Mhm.
what, I have a responsibility because God created me. I just for my own body, for my family, for my friends. If you're at work, we have to find something to say, look, you have to take what you said, ownership. We have to take ownership of our life, our health. Somebody in the gym is not going to make me healthy. They can give me tips, they can show me some great ideas, but it's me getting down on the floor and doing push ups. It's me grabbing the kettlebell and doing it. So the motivation, you have to stir that up within you. So I read my Bible every day to get inspired spiritually. I pray. I meditate on something of God's word. Um, I've done affirmations off and on through the years. I'm not real good at that. Um, I my goal was now to write up another affirmation, keep it in my pocket. However, because I read motivational books and I do podcasts like what you're doing, I pick up a lot of uh, just genuine tips, and I constantly say these things all day long. That if God is with me, who can be against me? I can be strong. If Jack LaLanne can live to 96 and work out the day he died. He was still athletic. He was still moving and mobile. Then I can do it until I'm 120. I look for those things, people to inspire me. I don't, this is a key point too, is don't compare yourself to
Mm.
others to want to be like them. You can compare yourself to others to be inspired to do more, but that can be a trap. If I look at somebody that is doing lifting more than me and their body is just a ripped body and abs, I don't have this six pack abs. I think I'm in really good shape, but I don't have that type of body. I could become depressed and say I'm not good enough because I'm comparing myself to them. Or you can flip it. I can compare myself to somebody that's completely out of shape, 100 pounds overweight, and say, look, I'm pretty good. Pat myself on the back. Hey, all is well. Either way, it's bad. I think you can use that as a motivation. Say, wow, that guy's doing incredible things. I'm going to keep trying and striving. So it's what you mentioned, staying motivated. You have to spend some quiet time. If you don't have that yet, I would say the first thing is to spend quiet time. It's best in the morning. It works for me. I get up early. I was up at like 3:30 this morning. Um, Spend some quiet time where you're talking to God, you're talking to the universe, you're talking to your inner self, saying, "Come on, why am I here on this planet? What do I need to do? Where do I have to go?" And you know this, Brittany, I'm sure, as you discovered this when you were 16 and you had your health issues, you didn't open up a book one day and the answers were there. You got to talk to somebody that was, a different type of doctor. You got to talk to friends. Then you
Hmm.
started reading books, and then you started hearing things. You have to have your heart open for change, and then all of a sudden you'll start to find these answers. It's incredible how it happens. It's like, you pray out, God, and somebody say, with the universe, please help me, and you open your heart, and all of a sudden you find a book in the library that is exactly what you need. You talk to a friend that says, hey, I just joined a new gym and this is what they do. Really? I've been looking for a new gym. It's stuff like that. So you have to do all that, but it has to become your style. I am not somebody to sit on the couch and meditate for 50 minutes. I may meditate for 5 minutes. A lot of times I meditate while I'm doing my exercises. You have to create your style, but you have to be engaged in positive people and positive things, positive books, or you'll be overwhelmed with negativity. So I don't know if I answered that for you.
Hmm.
Hopefully, I didn't confuse anyone because there's not a clear answer. That's just how I
Yeah.
discovered mine.
No, I think you did. And I think motivation looks different for everybody. Sometimes it's comes from our own health journey and struggles we've been through. And sometimes it's seeing what our family has been through, like our parents, and not wanting to duplicate
Right.
what they've done. I have a mixture of those on my own health journey, and it is very motivating. But the thing with motivation and the thing with your health is like, you have to do it. Like, you have to do the work. You have to put in the effort. No one is going to do it for you, and no one cares about your health as much as you do. So it's really taking ownership of that. Yeah, and it wavers. Like, my motivation comes and goes, but I think I have a pretty high like baseline of staying motivated and staying healthy. The pandemic has definitely like put that into question and challenged me, which leads me to my next question of, in terms of like chiropractic care, what can people do at home right now for their posture and nervous system? Like, how can we support that if we actually aren't able to go see a chiropractor right now?
That's beautiful. Um, I will share this link with you and your listeners. I have a free course that I created last year because of this, and it's called. The website is thepainfreeway.com, and there's a free mini course that talks about the things that I'm talking about. It's the core four. It's living a pain-free, living naturally a pain-free life, something like that. You can't miss it when you go there. But it talks about first belief and habits, like how to establish the right belief, what habit. So I outline that. And I have a ton of resources. Second is chiropractic care and nerve system. And then I get into some diet and nutrition, like foundational things. But in the chiropractic and nutrition, I mean, the chiropractic and posture, most of us are sitting in front of a computer and we're hunched over, our heads forward, our shoulders are rolled, we're squishing our back because we're sitting in a chair for 14, 16 hours a day. It's horrible for our spine, devastating. It crushes the spinal cord, the nerves, the joints aren't moving. You're not forcing fluid up into the brain, nourishment. You're not pushing it through the muscles and joints. Every part of your body is just weakening as you sit there. Every part, from your toes to your kidneys. So we have to be aware of, oh my gosh, I can't sit here hunched over. So I teach some of those things in this course because I do it on video, so you can see. One thing is you have to sit up straight in your chair. Here, just try this, and I know you're listening to me. And if you're driving a car right now, don't attempt this. But if you're sitting and you're listening, and when you get home, try this. Just I want you to sit up nice and tall in your chair, and I want you to bring your arms up, kind of like you're doing a jumping jack, but you're not going to jump. You're going to be seated, but you're going to pull your arms. You're going to bend your elbows, so your hands are beside like your head. You're going to bend your elbows so they're to your side, like you're going to do a jumping jack. Now squeeze your shoulder blades as hard as you can. You doing that? Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Now go pretend like you're doing a jumping jack just with your arms. You're going to raise your arms and down, up and down. So they're going like a jumping jack, but you're not jumping. You're seated. So these are like seated jacks. This is one thing I do. So just do a few of them. And you want to squeeze your shoulder blades every time you do it. So I just did them with you. So when you do that, you'll immediately feel more upright. You'll immediately feel your
Mhm.
shoulders rolled back and you're sitting taller. Do you feel that even a little bit?
Yeah,
And
definitely,
just
definitely.
a little simple task. It's things like that I teach in this course, and that you got to look at your posture from if you're hunched over, rolled head forward, then just do the opposite. Push your head back, put your arms, open, let your arms stretch out, let your shoulders roll back, and open your rib cage up, your chest up. Just that alone will change the posture immediately because you're taking this slumped posture and opening it up. So that's one thing. And I teach some other things like with the neck, like tilt your head back, stretch your neck back. Which you're sitting there, and I do this a lot because most people are seated at a computer these days with COVID. The kids in school, my kids, I have 5 kids, and a couple of them in college and one's in high school. All they do is sit, and they have a dad who's a chiropractor, so I can adjust them a lot. And we have a gym in our basement, so they get to do the gym and they do the farm work, so they're active, but they're still struggling because they're just complacent sitting all day. So one thing, if you are seated, I would set a timer every half hour or an hour and have that timer go off 1 to 2 minutes. Get up, do 5 to 10 air squats. You don't need weights, do air squats. Go
Mm.
on the ground, do 5 to 10 push ups, do 5 to 10 jumping jacks. Roll your neck around, roll your shoulders, sit back down. If you did that, what that is that's a reboot to the nerve system and to your joints. So if your joints stay complacent and stuck in a position long enough, they start to fuse up. They start to degenerate. Arthritis starts to form. The disc in between the vertebrae start to dry up. You need movement for that to happen. The best way to do it is it's like rebooting your computer. You turn it off, turn it back on, it reboots, everything's clean. You got to reboot your body. You got to jump up out of the chair, move around, do some jumping jacks, push-ups, whatever you want to do. And it only takes a minute to 2 minutes, and that's it. So that's a key point. That's a really good point to bring up because we are in the age of computers, texting, cell phone, laptops. Everything is stationary. We've got to build this into a habit.
I'd like to interrupt this podcast today to talk to you about Inside Tracker. So, the truth is that people age at different speeds. The date that marks your birthday doesn't necessarily reflect your body's biological age, or known as your inner age with Inside Tracker. Learning your biological age can definitely seem daunting at first, and I felt the same way when I did this test. But it's more than just a simple measurement, it's a starting point for you to take control of your health and wellness journey. Inside Tracker is a personalized nutrition platform that analyzes your blood, DNA, lifestyle, and now fitness trackers to help you optimize your performance from the inside out. First, they analyze your body's biomarker data to offer you a clear picture of what's going on inside. Then they provide science backed recommendations for positive diet and lifestyle changes and track your progress every step of the way. If you're interested in this, definitely check it out. I'm so happy I did it. I learned a lot about what's going on for me. You can use my discount code Biohacking Brittany through the link in the show notes, and that will get you 25% off both testing your biological age and any of the other tests and products as well. So that's Biohacking Brittany for 25% off. Yeah, I love that. And I love that you just gave us a exercise to do. I try and do a minute of jumping jacks here and there throughout the day. And it helps. It really does. It really helps with blood flow. It really helps with posture, like you said. I'm also looking at getting a new chair too. Like, I think I should be having a more ergonomic stool, actually. Like, I've seen some really cool ones that kind of like a saddle, actually, for your hips. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that's something that I'm looking at because, like, your home office setup is really important, right? So,
It is you have to look at your life. You have to build your lifestyle, work ethic, working, driving, whatever you do. You have to build it so you stay healthy. If you lose your health, doesn't
yeah.
matter if you made $1 million and you have it in the bank. What good is it? We're going to buy a nice wheelchair? Oh, that's nice. Stay healthy. It's like, this is ridiculous. Listen to this. This is pretty powerful. In 1971, Dr. Roger Sperry, he was a brain researcher. He won the Nobel Prize for this, and he found that 90% of stimulation and nourishment to the brain comes through spinal movement. 90%. So
Mhm.
you pump the cerebral spinal fluid through your spinal cord into your brain, kind of like when you drink water, you put it into your stomach. Well, it doesn't sit in your stomach. It gets transported through the glands, through the lymph system, through your bowels, through your muscles, into your joints. It goes everywhere. So if we don't have a good spinal movement, your brain is atrophying. It's dying off. So at the end of the day,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, Brittany. I do. If I'm sitting at a computer and I'm stuck and I'm doing a lot of work, all of a sudden, my eyes. I'm like, oh God, I feel like I've been sitting there for hours. I have to get up and move because my brain, I don't even know what I'm
Mhm.
looking at anymore. It's because I'm not pumping that fluid up.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely experienced that. So last question for me. I love hearing about your story and I love hearing about chiropractic care. Um, but what do you think, or what do you wish that more people knew about chiropractic care? Like, what is something that's like either oh my gosh, misconception or a myth, and something that you would like to, yeah, clarify?
The biggest thing that the aha moment with our patients is I show them a nerve chart. There's two nerve charts. There's the spine with the nerves that come out and they go into your arms and legs. We all know that. Like if you sleep on your shoulder wrong, you have your head up, your arm goes numb. Well, you're pinching off a nerve. Once you get up and you move, then blood and the nerve flow comes back. Your arm's fine. That's 10% of your nerves that exit the spine go into the muscles and they can cause pain. 90%, and this is the aha moment, and I mentioned this before, 90% of the nerves that exit your spine go into all your organs, glands, and control motor function. So 90% have no pain involved if you have a pinched nerve or a spine that's out of alignment. So like you said before, when do we go to the chiropractor? Wow, I have back pain. Let me go to the chiropractor. I have acid reflux. So why would I go to the chiropractor? Because if there's a nerve pinch in the neck or back, going to the stomach cannot function properly. How many
Mm.
people, I mean, we're talking thousands and thousands over the last 27 years I've been in practice, come in and I tell them that, and they look at me cockeyed and say, wait a second. I've been suffering acid reflux for, you know, 5 years. This can help. I've had bowel problems. My child has acid reflux. My child can't sleep. I can't sleep. I have a prostate issue. I have cancer. All the nerves supply everything. I had a little boy. He was 2.5 years old. Mother brought him in. They've been to every doctor in Pittsburgh, And they finally went to John Hopkins, a big medical center, and they said, "We don't know what's wrong with your son. He was allergic to everything but three foods. He was bloated. His skin was raw. He would scratch it raw." And they told the
Mm.
mom, "We don't know why your son is like this, but his kidneys are failing, and he is developing tumors in his body. And based on his blood work, he has about 2 years to live." And they said, "What do we do?" And they're like, "We don't know. Just give him steroids and just hope that he changes because we don't know what's causing it." So they brought him into my office out of a we do they hear things like this. We do workshops in the community. Well, they brought him in and they said, "We
Mm.
heard that you think differently, basically." And I showed them and I said, "Look, I don't know if your son's spine being out of alignment is causing this, but it could be blocking his healing ability. And if it is, then we can at least attempt this and do this. It's not going to hurt." So we took an X-ray, and
Mhm.
this little boy, he was pulled at birth hard. His head was pulled, so he didn't have a natural curve in his neck. He didn't have a natural bend. It was straight, which when you straighten out the neck, it causes spinal cord nerve compression. And I saw that, and I said, "I don't know what else I can do for him with diet, nutrition, or with his skin, but I know if I can correct that neck and realign that neck and open up the spinal cord nerves, his body may heal." And the mom was so excited. She goes, "Oh, I'll do anything." It was the only test she had that showed that there's a possibility. So I started adjusting little
Mm.
Colton, and over about a 3 month period, he got to the point that he was stable the first time without steroids. It took him 3 months to get to that point. Then
Wow.
we took an X-ray, and he had about 80% correction in his neck. And the mom started crying. And Luann was crying. She goes, "What do we do now?" And I said, "We just keep it there." So we reduced our visits. We kept him on a maintenance visit, and he kept his alignment. And his skin hadn't changed at that point, but it was about month 5. All of a sudden, his body just whoom, blossomed and it healed. His skin healed. He started sleeping. He wasn't allergic to any food. Everything was normal. And Colton completely healed. And Colton graduated high school, I think, a year or two ago. And they don't live close to me. They lived over an hour away, so they had to come to my office because we're the only ones I, that they found that believed that way and thought that way. So I've
Mm.
seen things like that, Brittany, over the years that I believe that can happen. And if other people could see that there's a connection between the spine and their overall health, we can start to look at chiropractic not so much as a crisis pain relief care, but I should maintain a healthy spine whether I'm healthy or not, just like my healthy teeth
Mhm.
or my muscles. If if I wait to get out of shape to say, "Okay, I guess I got to start working out now," well, you wasted all those years. You probably have damage already built up. So that's the biggest thing: is that connection to the body, the organs, and keeping our spine aligned.
I love that story. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I totally agree, and I'm excited for people to hear this, to see that there's so much more to chiropractic care than what most people understand and what most people see. So if people want to connect with you, where can they go? Website, links, social media, all the things.
My website's the easiest, and I'll give all the links for you so you can put in the show notes. But we have a website called
Mhm.
Innate Life, the number 8 life. And we chose innate, we use the number 8, but innate, we have this innate ability to heal. We are inborn to
Mm.
heal and be thriving in life. So that's why we chose that. innatelife.com. When you go there, you'll find my, how to connect with me if you want to email me. Uh, I always offer a free consult. And this is a lot of people are out of the area, out of the district, and out of the country, and they haven't heard this before, and they just want my advice or my opinion on something. I offer a free
Mm.
consult. I don't do too many a week. My time is very limited, but if you're interested, I'll make sure Mackenzie sends you the link. It's on your page, and if they're interested, I'd love to help. My goal is to just help as many people as I can that I have time for, and that's why I set up the free course as well. But if you go there, Facebook, same thing. You just type my name, Aaron Tressler, you'll see all my farm stuff, all my 60 lambs and my cows and me birthing lambs. I've helped a lamb birth this past weekend. Um, and it's really fun. We have two baby lambs living in our house because we're bottle feeding them because mom rejected them. Crazy life, but it's fun, and that's on Facebook. And just I'd love to connect with you. And our podcast, Making Pittsburgh Healthy, just like what you're doing here with yours, we're trying to help people expand their belief, just like you're doing. And we work together, you and I. The more people we reach and we give people an opportunity, this world becomes better. So I love the opportunity to share with you on your show, as I love having you on our show, because we're making this world a bit better. Somebody out there is going to appreciate this.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for that. And I will put all of those links in the show notes so people can find you and book a consult with you as well, because I really do think what you're doing is pretty amazing. So yeah, thank you for coming on today. This was really cool. Thank you so much for tuning in today. As always, feel free to screenshot this episode and tag me if you'd like me to respond. I really hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. If you have a question about your health, my DMs are always open and I'm currently taking new clients. Thanks and see you next time.